Show. I'm Craig Koger.
And I'm Nick Watkins.
We're going to get it started with the Monday Night Football game last night. The Bears taking on the Vikings. Bears dominate the game, clinch the NFC North. How big of a win is this for Chicago?
This is a big win to clinch the NFC North, like you said. They're going to get a home game, at least one home game, maybe try to get the second seed there if they can win the next two games and get a little help and get a first-round bye. This is a team that nobody thought would win this division, and we still question how good they are. Devin Hester broke the record last night for most punt return kick returns in a career. There's talk, Deion Sanders said he's maybe a Hall of Famer. I don't know about that, but a good player. The Bears, surprising, probably one of the surprises of the year going into the playoffs.
Yeah, this is a big win for Chicago. Like you said, nobody picked them. Beginning of the year, it was Packers and Vikings. Brett Favre got hurt again yesterday. I don't see Brett Favre coming back. They got 2 games left, no playoff implications, and every time he takes the field, it doesn't look good. He ends up leaving early every time. I think this is it for Brett Favre. Chicago, I don't think they get the 2 seed. I've got them getting the 3 seed. And like you said, everybody still questions how good Chicago is, but week after week they keep getting these wins. They've earned this playoff spot, and we'll see how deep they can go. Yeah,
they beat Green Bay, they beat Minnesota. This team is, as far as Brett Favre, I think it's over. Last night knocked out with a concussion. The Bears, they can maybe win a playoff game. I don't think they're an elite team, but they're a playoff team now, and maybe they were able to take advantage with the Vikings being hurt and having a dismissal, not so good season.
And switching over, we're going to get into the NBA. Earlier in the week, the Magic made a couple trades with different teams, reshaping a lot of their lineup. They come in, they've got all these new guys in last night. Same outcome, Magic lose. They haven't looked like the Magic everybody thought they were going to be. What do you take on all these trades?
Well, breaking down the trade a little bit, I thought they never should have got Hedo Turkoglu. Let him walk away a year ago. He was probably the most important piece when they went to that finals, besides Dwight Howard. Jameer Nelson was out. Ethan, they had him, and Dwight Howard, and Hedo really played well and really broke out. And then he went to Toronto, and nothing really came out there. And was kind of quietly playing with the Suns this season. And so bringing him back, I thought that was a good move. Getting Gilbert Arenas, I'm not too sure why they made that trade. Maybe Gilbert can come off the bench and give this team a nice spark. I was kind of surprised they traded Rashard Lewis. I think Jason Richardson adds another scoring. Him and Vince Carter kind of the same type of player. So I think, maybe a little bit of improvement, getting Hedo back. But like you said, it's going to take a little bit of time. They bombed that team there and trying to rebuild it on the fly. I think it's going to take a little time for the Magic to get it together.
Yeah, it was a good trade for the Magic. They did the right things. They kind of replaced the pieces that they got rid of. They got rid of Rashard Lewis. They brought in Hedo Turkoglu to fill in that spot. The only thing that I'm not too sure about is the whole bringing in Gilbert Arenas. You've got Jameer Nelson, now you've got Jason Richardson, who's another scorer, and you got Gilbert Arenas, who in Washington hasn't looked the same now that he's not running the point guard because they got John Wall there. Well, in Orlando, he's not going to be the #1 point guard guy there either. I don't know how well of a fit Gilbert Arenas is to the Orlando Magic, and I don't know how much this trade really improves the team. I don't know that it really does.
And then the Magic got rid of their backup center, Gorat, who is actually a pretty good center. They don't got any height, any big guys besides Dwight Howard. I think it's going to take a big toll on him. He's going to have to play a lot of minutes and hope that he doesn't get any foul trouble, going down the stretch and into the playoffs as well.
And sticking in the NBA, Miami Heat were winners of 12 straight. They lost to the Mavericks by 2 last night. What's your take on this?
He actually played a decent team, a real good team, a deep team, and they lost, and that's kind of what you expect. I don't think that, I've said this before, I'm not buying into what the Heat are. Mike Miller came back for the first night last night. He struggled, which is kind of expected. The Mavericks are a really good team. We talk about how good deep they are. They're really good. The Heat don't really have such a good bench. With the Mavericks, with guys having Sean Marion and a couple other guys, Jason Terry coming off the bench. those guys are pretty well. It'll be a big matchup again on Christmas Day when the Heat have to take the Lakers, but ends their winning streak and maybe they get a refocus for that Christmas Day.
Yeah, I said this last week, and I'm going to keep saying it. I'm still not sold on the Miami Heat. Seems like every time they look good, they're playing a mediocre team, and every time they get on the court against these teams that we consider the elite teams in the NBA, the Miami Heat lose. They were in this game the first quarter. Dallas took over. They had a big lead, but Miami fought their way back. They only lost the game by 2 points. But once again, I look in the NBA and I look at teams as all the pieces, not just 3 guys. Miami Heat has got 3 guys, but when they're winning, these guys are scoring on average close to 75 points between the 3 of them. That's the majority of the points. When one of these guys goes down, who's going to carry this team? I don't think there's anybody other than these 3 guys that can step up. I said it last week. They had the Mavericks coming up. They play the Lakers on Christmas. They're playing Phoenix coming up. Phoenix is under 500, but they could still beat the Heat. They got the Knicks after LA. I picked them to lose 2 or 3 out of these 5 games, and I'm still gonna go with that.
Yeah, they got a stretch coming. Speaking of the Mavericks right now are playing one of the top 2 or 3, like a top 2 or 3 elite team. You could say probably they're one of the 3rd best teams, maybe the Celtics, Spurs, and right now the Mavericks and then the Lakers. Might round out your top 4 with the Heat, and there's the 5 best teams in the NBA as of right now. The Mavericks are playing really well, so it's a tough loss for the Heat, but they lost to a good team.
Moving on, tonight the UConn women look to break the UCLA record. They're going for their 89th straight win. This is a big deal, but why does it not really feel like as big of a deal as it should be?
Well, I think it's really because it's a women's college basketball. I mean, let's face it, if it was the men's, if it was Duke or something like that, we talked about this earlier. If it was something on the lines of a major men's beating men's, I think, it would be a bit bigger thing. But, I tip my hat to UConn and what they've done. 88 wins on no matter what it is, that's a lot of wins. It means you're dominant over a long period of time. And, looking at UConn, I respect a lot of what they've done because it's not like they're playing slouches. They played a lot of ranked teams. We've seen them, 2 straight national titles here. And, 89 probably going to come tonight, and they're going to end up breaking UCLA's record. I just think a lot of people haven't grasped it because it's women's college basketball, not men's, or it's not the NFL. It's women's basketball, and that's something that's very low on the totem pole of sports.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, and I think UConn does win that game tonight. I think they do break the record, and I don't think that it's a huge deal in sports. Like you said, if this was a men's basketball team, if this was Duke, and they just won their 88th game, and they were going for breaking the record, everybody in America would be tuning into this game. We'd be talking about it. We would have been talking about it for the last week nonstop. Since it's women's basketball, it's just not as intriguing to a lot of sports fans. It's, like you said, lower on the totem pole of sports, and the competition in women's basketball isn't as deep as it is in men's basketball year after year. You look at women's basketball, you got teams like Stanford, UConn, Tennessee. These teams are good year after year. I tip my hat, it's very difficult to go undefeated in any sport at any level and win 88 straight games, but it's not in America and everybody else's head as big of a deal as it would be in men's sports.
Speaking of women's college basketball, I think this is able to happen in women's college basketball because unlike men's, men you have 2 guys leaving year in and year out, so it's hard to build a foundation to keep winning and after year when so many good players are going straight to the NBA after a year of college or 2 years of college. In women's basketball, they usually stay all 4 years and then turn pro or whatever. So you're keeping 2 or 3 good players and you're adding more players as other women graduate, and you're able to continue this this run that UConn's on. I think it's a lot to do with people staying in college. If women, if Maya Moore had come out her freshman year or whatever and went to the WNBA, we may not be talking about this 88-game win streak today. So I think it's able to more happen in women's college basketball than men's, just due to the fact of people staying and men leaving.
Moving on, back to the NFL. The NFC playoff race is getting tight. There's only 2 weeks to go. The Bears just clinched the division yesterday. We got the Giants, the Saints, and the Packers. 3 very good teams fighting for 2 spots. The Giants and Packers play each other this coming week. This game's pretty much an in the playoff, out of playoff game, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the winner, will make the playoffs. The loser is definitely out. You're exactly right. If the Giants lose, I think Tom Coughlin may lose his job, and Bill Cowher might become the New York Giants head coach. The Packers, man, I just, you tip your hat. I tip my hat to them. The injuries that they've had all season long as a team I picked to go to the Super Bowl. If they make it in the playoffs, you still got like their talent. You still think they can, make a playoff run. It'll be a big game. Aaron Rodgers has got to play well. He's got to play to be, and play well. I thought Matt Flynn, even though they lost last week against New England, played well until the final 2 minutes. But I thought you saw in the final 2 minutes the difference between Aaron Rodgers and Matt Flynn. Aaron Rodgers probably would have won that game for Green Bay. That was their game to lose, and they ended up losing it there at the end. Green Bay, I think, both these teams, the Giants, a crushing loss, to the Eagles when they just, they let them down. They let themselves down after the big lead, and then, kicking it to Deshaun Jackson, and who runs it back for the game-winning touchdown. I think that can demoralize the team. And I'm not going to say right now who I got, but this will be a big game. As far as the Saints need to win this one and have Atlanta lose. They can win the division, but I don't think Atlanta's going to lose the last week of the season. I think they can, the Saints can beat Atlanta going into this week, but it'll be a big game. But you're right. 3 teams here, all going to have winning records, possibly 10 wins, and we're not going to see one of these teams in the playoffs.
Like you said, I picked the Packers also to go to the Super Bowl early on in the year, and I think this game against New England, even though they lost, it was kind of a confidence booster because they did better than anybody in America thought they were going to do, going to play the New England Patriots in New England, and they almost won that game. Like you said, if at the end, at the 2-minute drill, you could really tell the difference between having the guy that takes the snaps year in, year out versus having Matt Flynn. They had about 25 seconds to go, and they got to the line. It looked like they couldn't get a play called. If Aaron Rodgers was in there as quarterback, he would have had the play called. He would have had the guys ready, and they would have got the snap off and ran the play. It's just kind of inexperience. Tip your hat to Matt Flynn. He played great, played better than anybody expected him to. This game is huge. I mean, the Packers-Giants, whoever wins is in, whoever loses is out. I mean, that's how it's going to be. The Saints, lucky for them, the Packers and Giants are playing each other this week because I don't know if the Saints can go into Atlanta and beat the Falcons. The Falcons just look like the hottest team in the NFC, the best team in the NFC. I think Atlanta's going to have home field in the NFC, and I don't know. I'm not going to go on my picks yet, but these are both going to be very big, very tough games coming up next week.
All right, big baseball news that Zack Grienke traded. A lot of talk now that the Brewers may be able to contend in the National League Central. What's your thoughts on this trade and Grienke going to the Milwaukee Brewers?
You know what? I think this is a good move for the Milwaukee Brewers. They got rid of a shortstop, and the guy that they're bringing in is not as good defensively. They're going to be a little weaker defensively up the middle. But with the rotation that they're going to be throwing out there, they might not need the greatest defense in the National League to win ball games. They got a very good offense as well. Prince Fielder and Ryan Braun highlight in the middle of that order. The Milwaukee Brewers, for the last couple of years, they have not had problems putting runs on the board. They've had problems in their bullpen and problems with their starting pitching right now. These 3 guys are as good as any 3 other guys in the NL Central right now when you look at starting rotations. The way that the NL Central looked last year and the moves that have happened this offseason, nobody's really went huge and made any big moves. I think it's going to be a competitive division, and I mean, going in, I'm not going to say the Pirates really have a chance, but the other 5 teams in the division, any of these teams can make a run and do a little bit of scare in this division.
Yeah, the Reds made a nice run last year. A team nobody really, maybe got picked second at the best, second or third there, they made a run. They didn't really have a dominant pitcher, one guy that really kind of scared you. It'll be interesting to see with Adolis Chapman coming up and how well they do. They have a nice lineup. But as far as the Grienke trade, this makes them the #1 guy in Milwaukee. This is a big trade for them. Just like when they got CC, kind of generated big news and got that team going. And maybe got the organization going, and then he leaves due to free agency. Now they got Zack Grienke. Grienke says he wants, this is where he likes to play. He wants to play here. They got a great lineup with Ryan Braun and Prince Fielder. I think also this shows Milwaukee to Prince Fielder is going to be a free agent at the end of this year. Look, we're trying to win. If you can stay here with us and maybe take a little less money than what you're going to get through the Yankees or somebody else like that, this, you know, he come stay in Milwaukee because we're trying to build something with us. You know, we're the guys, you know, help us build something here. And also on the Grienke thing, this is the first time the Yankees missed out on Cliff Lee, they missed out on Carl